Hello and welcome to episode 42 of the IT Smart Guy podcast, the tech-based podcast for the modern business owner. I'm Tony, and it's been a couple of weeks, right? I've been crazy busy with a couple of speaking gigs and general work, so I've just had to put the podcast on ice for a little while. That's the joy of working on your own. You kind of have to juggle everything, and from time to time, things have to get put on hold to ensure you can get everything done. But it doesn't matter, I'm back. In today's episode, we'll talk about the big switch off being potentially delayed, and then we'll go on to the interview where we welcome David Krushell of Evolve Your Digital. We talk about some sales stuff and the importance of a good website for your business. And that's not just to look professional or because everyone has one. At the end, as always, we'll have a tip of the episode. So let's get cracking on with the news. Let's look at what's happening in the news. So the news this time around is a little bit different, just for a change. The Integrated Services Digital Network, ISDN, is a system of telephone lines that deliver data transmissions and high-quality voice calls. The ISDN Big Switch Off, which is known as the Big Switch Off, refers to the phasing out of ISDN and the public switch telephone network infrastructures. Now, ISDN was introduced back in the 60s to handle long-distance calls made by businesses across the globe. It helped companies move away from traditional analog lines to more sophisticated digital lines that sped up communications and also offered clearer services. After lots of rumours, finally in 2015, BT Openreach, prior to their split, announced the end of PSTN and ISDN, the process of shutting down this network, and it's been underway since 2020. In November 2017, the telecoms industry announced its intention to retire these analog networks by the end of 2025. The industry will upgrade landline services to new digital technology using internet connectivity, such as voice over IP, digital voice, or all IP telephony. For most consumers and businesses, this change will be or has been very, very straightforward. As of September last year, so September 2023, businesses and homeowners were no longer able to acquire new PSTN or ISDN, and the old technology is expected to be completely switched off in 2025. Telecoms companies in the UK are rapidly replacing the technology they use to provide fixed phone network landlines, and as I've said, this upgrade was expected to be complete by 2025 in time for the switch off. Now, this switch off marks a significant transition in the world of telecommunications. While it represents the end of an era, it heralds the beginning of a new one, characterized by digital technology and internet-based communication systems. Voice over Internet Protocol, so VoIP, has several advantages over the traditional ISDN. The first one being cost. VoIP can significantly reduce the cost of your phone network. Calls are generally cheaper on VoIP when you compare them to a traditional phone line. Productivity features. VoIP integrates voice, text, and video calling into one platform, meaning a reduction in the number of systems you actually need. VoIP services are easier to scale up or down as per the needs of your business, and they can also integrate with other business systems like your CRM. Now, because VoIP works over the internet, it makes you and your business more flexible because employees can answer calls anywhere, essentially on any device. VoIP systems are generally easier to manage and they offer better speeds and higher call quality than traditional phone networks. These benefits make VoIP a more attractive option for modern businesses as they transition away from traditional systems. However, the specific benefits will vary depending on the needs and circumstances that the business has, not only now, but moving into the future, and also the provider which you opt for. And that's before we consider the security considerations. ISDN, being an older technology, has a dedicated connection for business telephony. It connects to your phone systems using physical lines which route your calls through to your business. These phone lines are typically leased, meaning you pay a monthly fee plus any call charges. VoIP, on the other hand, bypasses the need for these leased lines because the calls are routed through your internet connection. While the security of VoIP telephony solutions is often called into question, when correctly implemented, these modern solutions are in fact more secure. Leading vendors recognize the importance of VoIP software security, and this is therefore reflected in the fact that security is a core element of their solutions. So in summary, while ISDN has inherent security due to its dedicated physical connections, VoIP can also be very secure if it's implemented correctly. It's important to ensure that any VoIP solution you choose has robust security measures in place. This can include encryption, multi-factor authentication, and protection against threats like denial of service attacks. As with any technology, the security of your communication system will depend on how well it's managed, maintained, but also on how it's used. So after all of this, the deadline could be pushed back to the end of 2027. Now, this delay is primarily due to concerns about the impact of nearly 2 million people within the UK who rely on telecare systems, many of which have not yet been updated to operate using IP-based digital alternatives. These systems are crucial for vulnerable users, especially those where they are in rural or isolated areas where it's possible that mobile services may go down during power cuts. The delay of BT's digital voice program may only apply to these vulnerable users too. Now, Openreach and BT are currently upgrading all of their old analog phone services to a fibre to the premise digital IP-based network, with the national stop sale starting, like I said, back in September last year. BT and Virgin Media O2 initially agreed to stop installing digital landlines in December. This decision was made due to serious incidents where health pendants worn by vulnerable customers stopped working when older analog landlines connected to emergency services were switched off. Now, last month, so April 2024, telecoms firms agreed to new commitments to protect vulnerable people amidst the switchover. Providers that have agreed to these commitments include BT, Virgin Media O2, Openreach, City Fibre, All Points Fibre, Community Fibre, OG, KCOM, and White Fibre. Quite a few companies there, right? A BT spokesman stated that they are working closely with the government and Ofcom to ensure the safe transition of customers onto digital landlines. They're also encouraging more local authorities and telecare providers to make them aware of telecare users so that they can provide not only the right support, but the right support at the right time. The Department for Science, Innovation and Technology clarified that the decision to switch off the analog landline network has been taken by the telecoms industry and that the UK government has no formal role in administering the switchover. Deciding timelines even for its completion is a matter for providers. Ofcom, on the other hand, stated that they are keeping a close eye on providers to ensure that they comply with their rules during this transition. Providers must ensure that uninterrupted access to emergency services with policies and procedures in place so that vulnerable customers will be treated fairly are upheld. So, will it be a 2025 or a 2027 switch off? Only time's going to tell with this, but regardless, the change is going to happen, and you need to be ready within your business for this change. If you haven't yet looked at a VoIP solution, or perhaps you're not happy with your VoIP solution, let's have a chat. We can talk through options. That's it for the news. Before we transition to the interview, I do need to apologise. I had some audio issues on the day of recording, and as such, I am a bit more quiet when compared to our guest. But it's a great interview, and here it is. The interview. So we now come to the interview part of the podcast, and I'm really glad that this gentleman's agreed to come on the show. I'm going to introduce you to David. David is co-founder of Evolve Your Digital, a consultancy that helps businesses decide on the right way to market their business in the digital realm by looking thoroughly at where their target market hangs out, and the journey they need to take to become a customer. So, to David Krushell to the podcast. There he is.
Hi.
David, how's it going?
Hey everyone. Yeah, really good, thanks, mate. How are you?
So yeah, that was just a brief intro. For those people that don't know who you are, how about you quick overview of who you are, what you still a black, isn't it? Who you are, where you come from, that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, my name's David. I'm 44 and I'm from Leeds. Yeah, so no, so yeah, I'm a co-founder and ops director for Evolve Digital. We are a small web, probably digital problem-solving agency in the banks of West Yorkshire. We've been operating as Evolve Digital for about 21 months now. And our backgrounds, myself and the other co-founder Dan, we have very different backgrounds to your typical sort of website development agency. And I think we're a little bit different because we look at things from a different perspective. So my background is in business development, customer journey, and all that sort of stuff. And then Dan's is in agile, which is efficiency processes, management, software dev, and all the stuff that goes with that. So we don't look at it as like, give us your specification and we'll build it. We actually say, well, what does your business want and what do your clients want? As I said, we've been operating for about 21 months as Evolve. Prior to that, I was a business consultant doing some digital transformation and stuff for 5 years. And Dan would work alongside me, aside his other job, or his main job, which was as an agile coach. We decided to take the plunge in June 2022, just doing a day a week together. And then we decided to go all in towards December and officially launched Evolve in January 23. And since then, it's been quite the roller coaster. We're now officially a team of 4, with support in the SEO and content side, and some assistant dev support for Dan as well, because we've grown so much. So yeah, that's us as it is at the moment.
So my first question: why web dev as opposed to, say, app development?
Yeah, I think app development takes a different level of software skill. I think our backgrounds, Dan's been working with Squarespace for nearly 15 years and Shopify as well for a couple of years. We use website-based platforms because there's always a place for them. And we target generally low enterprise to small, medium enterprise business. So for example, up to maybe 25, 30 million turnover is our largest customer. And then, we deal with other clients as well, who are potentially people who work on their own entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, stuff like that. So we like to service that marketplace. There's no real red tape. It's sitting around it. You're not sat there talking to 15 different people who all want to chip their ideas in and go, oh, what about if we did it that way? What about if we did it that way? They kind of trust us to take their best interests at heart. And sometimes the website isn't the answer, and we're quite straight open with that as well. They might not need a new website. They might just need some help getting people to it. They might need some help understanding when a customer gets there, what they're intending to do on the website. So I think when it comes to it, we enjoy that bit. And I think, if somebody needs an application or an app, then we can point them in the right direction. And it has a very different end goal as an app. It is solely focused on making something easier for a business to get maybe points across of what they're trying to show them, whereas websites, actually what we're trying to do is get what the clients want out of it, and get the actual lead generation, because sometimes on apps you'd actually contact the business, you're just utilizing the app, whereas with our the customer flow, we're sort of looking from someone who's looking for your company, giving them the right information at the time when they're ready to receive it. And then once they've done that, they then contact the business, or they take the information away and then contact the business later. So that's the bit we enjoy doing, and therefore app development won't be right.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you are, you as a person, you are quite outgoing. You're very very personable. So yeah, I suppose focusing on that customer facing end does make a bit more sense, especially for yourself. So Evolve's been going for 21 months. You're now a team of 4. Obviously, when you and Dan started, it was very much. I remember it being very much, I don't say rough and ready, but let's say rough and ready. And it's quite a rapid growth strategy to go from 2 directors to having a team of 4 in 21 months. So, how do you think? What's been the secret to that success, other than hard work? Because let's face it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're quite lucky in the respect of Dan loves doing everything I don't, and I love doing everything Dan doesn't. So we have a slight bit of crossover when it comes to our clients and the working together, and it works really well. But I think we've just, like you said, I'm obviously not a shy person. I'm quite happy to go to events. I'm quite happy to speak in front of people. I'm quite happy to explain what we do. But I actually think it's the way that we work. I think as soon as people actually listen to how we talk about their clients and about that, we try and make technology simple, and we don't fluff things up. We don't make glamorous presentations for quotes. We send them on an email. The first thing we sort of say is, look, how can we quote against something if we've not even had a meeting to discuss your exact requirements for your customers? And I think people see that as a bit of a game changer in a way. So I think they just expect people to go, yeah, that'll be a 10-page website. We've done them before, and they're going to cost X. And there's no real chemistry between us and the business. I think it's safe to say, I think we signed 25 clients last year, of varying size, and I think we're on about 6 or 7 this year. So the growth has been quite surprising, I think is probably the phrase to use. We knew we were onto a good thing, but I think because what we do is try and build in small phases and try and make it digestible for customers to understand, and therefore the cost isn't always massive. It's manageable for the client with their budgets. They understand at every step what they're doing. We are transparent in our pricing and how we operate, and actually we will always do the right thing. So if we have maybe under quoted for something, we'll always try and make sure we get it right. That's our fault, not the customers, and they should be penalised for it. So just by doing those things, they get a ripple effect of customers having a good experience. It then ripples out to other customers who go, oh, I've heard these guys are all right, actually. They did a website for such and such, and they did this for them. And then that's a really nice thing for people to then go, oh, well, I'll give them a ring then. And like we'll try and always do a face-to-face, we'll actually go to the business and put ourselves in front of them, which a lot of people really don't do anymore. Like we've been to the Cotswolds to see a couple of bridal shops down there. We've been to Norwich. We've got a really good client in Norwich in Turner's. And we like the face-to-face aspect, which is quite strange for a digital business. But it seems to have worked. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been dabbling in TikTok again the last couple of weeks, and I've found that. So I put a question out there the other day about online networking. Is it dying, but has it kind of how it's changed since when you think we're recording this on the 22nd of March, 4 years ago tomorrow was when we were all told to stay at home.
Wow.
And
mental.
There's been a massive, you think 4 years ago you were in an employed job, weren't you?
No, I was self-employed. But no, it was Dan that was employed. No, but I was in a different role. It was a different business, and unfortunately, that business I've closed it. I've had to close it due to the impact of what that had. So yeah, I you feel it.
But I think back 4 years ago, I was in an employed job. How much there's been such change. But then you go to like face-to-face networking events, and it feels like it did pre-COVID. And I think having that mix of face-to-face and digital works. And I agree. I think customers they appreciate it a bit more, that you're taking the time and the effort to go to see.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think the largest client we signed about 2 weeks ago. The project's massive. It's probably the biggest project we've ever worked on over the period of the next 2 years. We went to see them twice. And before we'd even quoted them, We went to see them twice, and we met with the MD, and yet they'd had quotes from larger agencies who've just sent them a PowerPoint of all the stuff that they've done for their clients and a cost at the end of it. And my email response was, well, how can they quote when they've not even spoke to you about the true requirements of what your business needs right now for a first phase development? So that their ears pricked up and they listened. And obviously we went to see them. We're only 40 minutes down the road. And I agree. I think it's important to have a blend of digital and face to face, because and also it's up to the client as well. The client may just say, look, you know what, we prefer Zoom or we prefer Teams. We don't necessarily need to see the whites of your eyes, but majority of clients are like, oh, you're going to come in? Oh, I'll put kettle on then. And end up having a chat. Your discussion flows a completely different way. And actually, just with some good questioning and some good listening, you generally unearth some tidbits and some nuggets of information that really help their digital journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And those little tidbits that run into not only more work for you, but if they come up and say, oh, I don't suppose you know somebody that does promotional merchandise, you go, actually, yeah, I do. This That's where the whole networking element comes in as well.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find that those conversations, at least I do, I find those conversations to come out more when I'm talking to somebody face to face than I do.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting how you said there about the bigger agency. Because you see, I see that sometimes, even in my industry. They might have a 15-minute call, and it's like, all right, so okay, proposal. And sometimes you can get away with it. But other times, I think you need to go speak. Because if I was going to go and deliver an IT support project for a 50-user business, if I've got the option to go there and have a look round, see what they've got, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think it should be really any different from for a website company either, to a degree.
And I think the other side of it as well is it's the sales background that I've got. I mean, I've been in business development maybe for best part of 20 years, training sales teams, being part of sales teams, working with a large company, nationwide company, in digital transformation from print to digital, and training teams to perform with that. And I think during those thousands of clients that you see, you learn to speak to people in different ways depending on how they speak to you, and you can pick it up straight away, and you pick up their signals, and someone's going to be quite hostile towards you to start with because they've got their arms crossed and they've got all these traits, and you're just like, and then when they've opened their arms that they're actually warming to you and they're speaking to you in a different way. But if you don't understand all that process and the sales process with the buying journey, then you sort of lead what's the word? Conversion is less, because you sort of maybe miss some opportunities, but you can really only pick them up face to face or in person as well. So I think part of the growth has just been because of the experience that we've had of being able to speak to people and understand their need quicker and sort of answer it really, and just deal with that main. And I think what Dan's instilled in this business is the fact that it is all in steps and in processes. Using his agile background, it's kind of like, right, we don't need to do the massive project right now. It's like, right, well, what's the first bit we need to do that actually is better than what you've got? If we can get that and get some testing and get it working, that level of service and understanding comes at 40, 50 grand projects, because they've got teams of people doing it. So actually work with a small company like ours and actually have that level of interaction and understanding and streamline capability is unheard of at our level. And I think that potentially is one of the reasons as well why people actually speak to us, because we work differently in that way. We're not there to say, right, well, let's take 20 grand off you now. The whole project over 3 years might cost the business 20 grand. But if we won't know that until we've sort of said, right, well, actually, we're going to do this bit first. That might cost you 1,500 quid. Let's get that done. Let's get it working. Let's get it optimized. Let's get it transacting or doing whatever it needs to do. Once we've got the feedback from that, let's look at the next phase to see how actually the feedback we've got from phase one impacts phase two. Whereas typical style website development, what they call waterfall, is literally day one, I'll buy a website and give you the spec, and 8 months down the line, I want everything built, and everything's going to be built, but 10%, 15% of it's going to be wrong because your business will have changed, missed them during that build period, where we'll go, oh, can we have this? And you're like, no, sorry, mate, you're going to have to, start again if you want to add that, and it all becomes very costly. And there's always people who've been through that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. It's one of them things, I suppose, that you know what's the saying. It's always been done that way, so it's not going to
Yeah,
change.
but yeah, that phrase, yeah, the worst phrase in business, we've always done it that way. Yeah, it really is. Well, if you keep doing it that way, you just, I think it's like, and I don't use the analogy much, but it is like a Premiership football team is digital. You kind of like, it's not about reinvesting all the time and but it's parts of it. So an individual player here might need a bit of reinvestment because that player's leaving, or this part here needs a little bit of reinvestment because it's not fitting in the team, right? Or we actually might have to change the whole back four because that bit, the defense isn't quite working right. I think digital is very much like that. It's not about the whole team picture, it's not about the whole products and sites and everything else. It's actually just little bits that if you look at independently and just try and tweak, working with the right with that bit, rather than if you do all of that, it costs you a lot of money. So it's just, but it's like an MOT on your van, or it's like having a van as a business. You need to put money into it, some fuel into it, just to make sure that it's just keeping up and refreshing and continuously. Well, that's why we call it evolve, because it literally just does evolve all the time, and everybody says it evolved, and then they look at you like, oh, that's why you've called your business that. I see.
It's funny because I know a web guy down here, and his company's called Evolved Websites,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
afraid he does think similar vein to you.
oh, good.
I think you two would actually get on. So
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
if
he's the
ever,
southern version of us. Nice. Yeah, nice.
I think he does more WordPress than anything else, and obviously you guys.
Yeah, yeah. We've got the dev support can actually handle a bit of WordPress. We don't choose to build it as a platform, just because it's open source and we like protection from the walls of Squarespace and Shopify because they do all of the stuff for you. And we try and make it easy for business owners to update, manage, change their websites themselves. We do offer support and things like that, but realistically, we want them to sort of look after their site and manage it. We don't own any of our sites; they're all paid for by the clients. That sort of thing. Quite ethical that way. And actually, we'll give you videos on how to update your own site, and because they're quite big, widely used platforms, the apps are great and things like that. So it's just easy for those small to medium businesses who are always on the go, who just need to upload a blog or upload a photo, change some text. You can just do it on a device, rather than going into the back end and putting some code in and this, that, and the other. So, but then obviously, then they come back to us because when they need the bigger work doing, that's when we do that. And because we've not charged them for 60 quid to change a photo, so that type of stuff.
Some people they just charge through the nose, don't they, for stuff?
It is mental. Like we've like as I said, we've probably worked together 7 years now, me and Dan, and we've heard horror stories of people held to ransom for the domain name, and like they won't release our content, and we're like, but it's your content. Like, we don't want any of that, we can't be bothered with any of that sort of like, oh, why can't I access my domain? It's like, well, you own it, it's in your name, everything's yours, we don't want it. It's crazy, some of the stories you hear. We've had people turn up and go, oh, my web company's gone bump, and I can't access anything. And we're like, right, what do you want? What do you want? If you can't access it and you've got the logins, what do you expect us to do? Like magic some code up and go, ooh, we've broken into WordPress to get your stuff back. It's just not. It's just not viable. Yeah, just pointless. So yeah, we'd rather have an easy access platform, easy to update. It's got amazing plugins with Acuity, and obviously there's commerce sites come on loads, and obviously Shopify is amazing for commerce. So it's also a good platform that if eventually people didn't want to stay with us and they wanted to go to another provider, then it's easy for someone to update. There's loads of Squarespace companies around, loads of Shopify companies around. We just want people to be happy and not worry about anything. that were going to take over, steal their website off the internet.
So from websites, obviously you've now got these two members of staff. One of them's helping Dan with more, dev support stuff. Gemma, right?
Gemma does the content, so she's more. She won't mind me calling this the word nerd. So she handles social, like SEO strategy, blog strategy, blogs, social media, all that sort of stuff that people might need some content help with. Obviously, words for the website as well. And then we've got Megan, who is development support for Dan, because she only joined in. Well, they're all freelance, but they're part of the team. Like, they've got our hoodies and everything, and they've got enough work to sort of be part of our team, and they can do their own thing as well. That's why it's quite nice. But we like this sort of hub of being a bit of a family. It's quite nice. Like, they come in on team days and things like that. So it's a really good feel to it. And but we just needed it. We needed that level of support, and they.
I didn't catch what you said then.
Oh, right, I'm just saying the add to the team. Which bit didn't you hear? Sorry, are we breaking up?
It's fine. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but yeah, the last little bit of the great value to the team just didn't come through.
Oh, right. Yeah, they had a great value to the team. Yeah, they're great additions to the team. Yeah, big time.
And I guess that was kind of the next evolution, as it was, for you, really, because you had the development aspect and the sales aspect then, but it was like SEO is quite often, I think, especially when you're a small business working for yourself or that sort of thing, it's a bit of a dark. It's seen as a bit of a dark art. So
yeah,
provide that sort of strategy and support, and I guess delivery is was quite an obvious next step.
Yeah, I think what's changed. Obviously, Google's algorithm changed last year. I think to enhance SEO effectively, to make it a bit more feasible to businesses, or to make, I think in times before, people have looked at it and gone, wow, that's an expensive slog for a long period of time to not get much back because of the way that the algorithms would work. They made a lot of changes, made it around direct content, questions being asked, and making sure if you answered those questions with blog format, they could supersede pages that were written about it. Fresh, up-to-date content that was knowledgeable and well written, which therefore makes it quite good for businesses who have got maybe one or two sides to their company, who then can specialize or write topics on those subjects. So, I mean, I'm not claiming I'm the be all and end all of SEO. I'm definitely not. I don't know enough about it, but I know enough to make sure that companies that the size that we deal with understand what needs to be done to get sort of higher up the rankings. And then now we've got the service where we're able to sort of provide that for the level of businesses that we sort of deal with. And yeah, because of that, Gemma has got a fantastic knowledge from her PR background. She's run an agency, and now she's freelance, and so all of that word craft, is coming in and is becoming quite beneficial for especially some of the larger products as well. She's been doing strategies for them, and it just gives us a little bit more like ammo and a bit more sort of knowledge, I suppose, to a company when we sat the three of us are sat in front of a client talking about the three different pronged attack of like myself and Dan and then Gemma. It sort of helps us get across the sort of sphere of digital that they can kind of take on and not spend have to spend the earth to get involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are SEO companies out there charging thousands of pounds a month.
Yeah, but do you know what? It's and
adds up so quickly. I know.
I think that the thing. Sorry to cut off. The thing is, when you understand what takes place to do or perform decent SEO, you understand where the cost goes. It's time, research, understanding a service and a product fully to then write about it, or to write about the inquiry in question or the question that's being asked on the internet, and then find resource, add it, write good quality content with images, etc., to back up that search. It takes time. generally anything in digital, what you pay for is time. So the more complex and the harder something is, the more expensive it's going to be. And I think with SEO, there's some quick wins you can do and get results with fairly fast. But if you're in a highly concentrated marketplace, plumbers, builders, this type of stuff, it's very difficult to get SEO performing well quickly and at a low value of cost. Yeah, so it's you can understand why people charge a lot.
So, next question.
Mm.
What's the next evolution going to look like?
What's the next evolution of our business? A good question. I think for us, it's going to be potentially more support on the content side, on that side for content and SEO strategy, because it is starting to become quite a well asked for side of the business. But like we've got leads going out each week, or quotes going out each week, which is quite a nice place to be. We're active on social, but we try and be active on social media. I like expos. We do a lot of expos. We had a good response from expos, both with leads, but also sort of just getting our brand out there. It's as you can see above, it's quite a bright brand. We like to be quite bold. And I think what's next is possibly a bit of support with the content side, and maybe just some support with the account handling and that side of things, maybe. But we've been doing quite a bit of work with some of the colleges in the area and things like that, and did a bit with Wakefield College, or I'm on with something with Wakefield College at the moment. So it could be something where we look at the younger, somebody coming into college or whatever, and we try and maybe bring them in, maybe as an apprentice or something. So I don't know, the options are there, but this year I think we're just sort of like buckling down and following on from last year really, and just trying to strengthen the brand, trying to make sure that we've got a good pipeline, but we've got a good base of clients at the moment who are happy with what we do, which is good. And then obviously because we do things hopefully the right way for them, they keep coming back and going, oh, and it's nice that people ring up and ask that question rather than just don't hear from them, just sat there on their website. So it's going well. Either that or just do global domination and then sell. No.
I couldn't imagine you retiring early, to be honest. I think you get too bored and do something else.
No, that's not the end goal. We don't want to do that. We've talked about, obviously, as you do when you go into business. We're quite lucky, really, that we were friends before we were business partners. And a lot of people say, "Oh, don't work with your friend." But because we've got that balance of complete trust and respect for each other, that like if we have a problem, we talk about it. We don't just sit there and go, "Oh, all right, he's got a problem. I don't care." It's look, we have meetings at the end of each week where we sort of blast about the week and make sure we iron it out and get things finished and sorted for the end of the week. And I just think that we're probably looking to grow it into a business where we have a team of people, and at every level, and then potentially have somebody run the business, and we just work with them to make sure the business goes forward and stuff. Yeah, I can't see me retiring early. Probably, yeah. I don't know. I don't think so.
No, like I said, I think you'd get bored too quick.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I'm conscious that you are busy and you have taken some time out of your day to come on the show. So thank you for that.
No, it's all right. It's nice to see you, mate. We should have had a tequila
Next time.
next time. Yeah.
If people want to get in touch, find out a bit more, how can they do that?
Yeah, a few ways. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, David Krushell. Evolve Your Digital is the same handle across all social: Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn. Please feel free to drop in, or david@evolveyour.digital if you want to email me.
Awesome. Thanks again so much for your time. We'll end.
No, good to see you, mate.
End the show there.
Okay.
I've got one more question actually. I've just sprung into.
Go on then.
What's one thing that somebody could do to make their website better within 5 minutes?
Okay, it's a good question, that actually. Um, it depends what your website's doing at the moment. Okay, so if you've got a website that is converting leads, I would just always refresh the content, just always rewrite something, try and streamline it, make the information a little bit more digestible, quicker, and just you're doing everything right. But that would be probably one of the things. Just keep the content fresh. If it's not doing the lead generation, I'd probably take a step back. It's only a quick thing, but look at the pages that are being used and look at the pages that aren't. And if I'm honest, I'd look at the client journey for the pages that are being used, and I'd fine tune that, and I'd turn the others off. Which I know sounds crazy, but if you can fine tune one journey right without blurring any of the other messages, you'll get a better conversion rate because your marketing will go against that one journey. You'll send them through, and it might just be one side of the business, but at least you're targeting certain people with a certain journey. Then what you do is after that, you would then look at your second journey and then develop that as the next bit of your website. That's because if you've got 3 or 4 things and they're not being interacted with, then there's no point trying to fix all 3 things. Stop them. Just put an overview page on or something, and then just try focus on the one thing that is getting you success. Try and get more of that, and then look fully at the second step of what the journey should be for somebody else wanting something else that it comes from you. If you get what I mean. Hope that made sense. I know it sounds a bit waffly, but yeah.
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense. Awesome.
You caught me off guard there, Tony.
Put myself off guard because I'm sure there's another question I had to ask, and because I've been out this morning with seeing a client, I didn't have time to find my questions out my drawer. So
it's all right. We can always do a round 2, mate. I'm always up for a chat.
always great stuff. Tip of the episode. Huge thanks to David for coming onto the show. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your week to come on and talk about how you work with businesses. At the end, I asked David what is one thing that anyone could do to make their website better in 5 minutes. Now, I threw this question in knowing full well that something you do in 5 minutes isn't going to make a massive difference right there and then. But he still delivered some great value. So if your site is bringing in leads, great, keep doing what you're doing. But you still need to work on the site. Let's face it, websites are never finished. So for you, it's all about making sure that the content that you have on your site is fresh, digestible, as opposed to just adding more and more stuff as a way to add value. Sometimes less is more. He also alluded to if your site isn't bringing in leads, perhaps you need to review your site, the customer journey, and fine tune it. Get one service pumping on all cylinders before you move on to the next one, which is some great advice. And as such, today's tip is to go and do a little review of your website. What pages are working for you, what ones aren't, and perhaps make a plan to make some changes so that you can achieve your goals with your site. Whether that is ranking on page 1 of Google or just getting a lead a week. It's going to take longer than 5 minutes, but when it works, I don't think you'll regret it. That's it. Here we are once again at the end of another episode of the IT Smart Guy podcast. Thank you for watching or listening. I truly hope that you have found this episode insightful, and I do look forward to speaking to you again next time. I do have that one small favour to ask. If you have enjoyed the episode, do you know what? Even if you haven't, even if you've hated it, let me know. Leave a review or a comment because it's the only way that I can get better. And if you haven't already, please give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, the podcast does have its dedicated YouTube channel now at the IT Smart Guy podcast. I think it'll be in the description regardless. Anyway, I've been Tony, the IT Smart Guy, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for listening to the IT Smart Guy podcast. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please do consider to like and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice.